Hello, and welcome to the CSS News Civil War Interpretive Center. My name is Matt Young, and I am the site manager here. And today, I wanted to take you through our transportation and our colonial town part of the exhibit. Really, Kinston became a town right before the American Revolution. It was founded as Kingston with a G, and the father of Kinston was the guy who became the first governor of the state of North Carolina, Richard Caswell. Now, we have a separate site talking about Richard Caswell here in Kinston, and I'll talk about that on another video. But for now, I wanted to point out why Kinston was so important, why it was vital here. So important, in fact, that the Confederate government decided to build an ironclad warship right here in the Neuse River. A lot of people come in and they look at the ship and they go, that thing can possibly fit in the Neuse River. It's way too big, it's way too heavy. And at the time, the river was a little bit wider and a little bit deeper than it is now, because the river was still dredged, at least into the 1850s, all the way up the Neuse River as far as Goldsboro. So it was a little bit deeper. As far as transportation goes, one of the main reasons Kinston was important was because it was on the railroad line. It was on the important railroad line that led from Morehead City all the way to Greensboro and then south to Charlotte. And if you'll note here, this is a map of the area and the railroad lines that go around. Morehead City is down here near Fort Macon. That railroad led up to New Bern. And then from New Bern, it led over here, over the Neuse River, through Kinston, then to the Vital Railroad Junction at Goldsboro, before continuing on to the state capitol at Raleigh. Now, Fort Macon and New Bern are both captured by March of 1862, very early on in the war, within the first year. And Kinston probably would have been next. But there's a great distance between New Bern and Kinston, very swampy area, very sparsely populated. The roads weren't particularly good. And that helped to save Kinston, at least in the short term. The government then authorized for 3 ironclads to be built on the rivers in eastern North Carolina. One on the Roanoke up here in Scotland Neck, one on the Tar River near Tarboro, and then one in Kinston, or to defend the Neuse River in Kinston, and it would have been built in what is now the town of Seven Springs. At that time it was called Whitehall. And it would have been about halfway between Kinston and Goldsboro on the Neuse River. So if you just take a look at the map, you'll see that Kinston is an important stopping point. It stops or prevents federal troops from coming to the coast to the Vital Rail Junction at Goldsboro. That was the key. It was the key in 1862 during the First Battle of Kinston, and it was really the key again in 1865 during the Battle of Wives Ford. So when the question is asked, well, why was Kinston important? Kinston was the buffer between the Federals on the coast and the heartland of North Carolina, the rail infrastructure and the river infrastructure, and of course also beyond Goldsboro, the state capital.